time for the last votes to happen. So if you didn't vote yet, we'll have probably 10 minutes from the intro for you to go and vote. And when we finish the intro question, we'll check out the results, lock them forever, and move forward with whatever we have decided. So you can open the agenda it's in the SoftGov chat, and the link for voting is there. And then the intro question, I want to propose like a quick exercise of 5 minutes. So please, if you're not in the agenda, jump in there. And it's a temperature check on Ostrom's principles. So I just want everyone to put a percentage from, okay, Chewy, we got it. I want everyone to put a percentage from 0 to 100 on how do you think we are on integrating these principles. So 0 for we have not integrated at all, and 100 for we are fully integrated with this. And I think it's a good check for us to move forward with the working group. We are in this like towards the closing of a cycle before the hatch. So yeah, I'll give 3 minutes, and then we can have a quick round of sharing. Feel free to ask if you have questions about any of them too.
I do not remember the last one, nested enterprises.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one, but it's just how well integrated the smaller groups are within bigger groups. So we can say the working groups are a nest enterprise inside the TC, and the TC might be a nest enterprise inside TE. So yeah, how are those groups being nurtured by the bigger group surrounding it?
And the second one, I don't remember it formulated in this way.
It's just how sustainable we are in relation to the resources that we receive and what we spend, but that for multiple types of resources. So are we sustainable on how we are, spending our or using our finite resources?
And was it the way that it was formulated in the Ostrom principles? Because I remember it in a different way.
I
Yeah,
have to
that
agree
sounds-
with Sam.
Hmm?
I remember it as like rules should fit local circumstances. I'm looking it up in other lists. I'm looking it up. I'm remembering it more like that. You know, the rules are customized to the local context and the people participating.
Yeah, maybe there is a confusion with the article Jeff wrote, because I think he shared in a more digestible way, and then the way she talks about in the book is like how, so like the congruence between appropriation and provision talks about the rules we have for spending these resources and the rules we have for receiving these resources, and somehow related to boundaries. So once we understand the boundaries of these resource systems and we have some type of a code in the community for how we spend them, then that's principle two, more or less. Does it make sense?
And I think actually, Tam, the one you're talking about, strangely, I think it's the monitoring principle, because the monitoring principle is about the monitoring not just of users, but of the conditions, of the resource conditions.
Second principle is that
Yeah, I think it's described in different ways in different places. Actually, it's just we're just coming across there's different descriptions for.
I just took a screenshot from the book and uploaded it in SoftGov. So I think Livy got it right.
Seems like we should definitely go with the book.
Eleanor is the new technocracy.
But yeah, it's definitely related with rules, Tim. I think that's easier. I see. I think everyone finished. That's really good signaling. I think the one that needs more work, according with the numbers here, is number 2. And I think there's also an extra confusion because a lot of these resources, we still don't have them. So it's a bit tricky. Also graduated sanctions, maybe we can have a deeper look. Does anyone has something to add to this? Like something you want to comment?
think it's very subjective because everyone can look at the same principle in a different way. For example, I punctuated very high in minimal recognitions of rights to organize because it's like blockchain. But then somebody wrote legal there, and I actually don't know if I will punctuate so high. Taking that I don't know anything of laws, so I don't know which is the level. I mean, what I wanted to say, there are many interpretations of everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. If no one else has something to add, I would move on, but also feel free to maybe a few more seconds if anyone else has something to say. Hi, Christopher.
I think it was a great exercise. And yeah, I think that the overall balance is positive. And I think that, yeah, I would comment on graduated sanctions. And I feel like, yeah, we have like a certain guideline of what actions we don't want, and yeah, and some processes to address them. But I still like, yeah, feel that we haven't been able to apply graduated sanctions like at yeah at a real level. So yeah, it's just, I think that one we can keep working on that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Sorry.
also we haven't still like needed them until the moment. But yeah, we need to keep working on that. Sorry, Sep.
I was just going to say, like, I agree with you. Like the community at the beginning, like it's still very little community, even if well, it's still growing a lot and fast, but it's still very small community. And like these conflicts and for these sanctions, like even if we drafted them, there's no scenario where they happen. So no one was sanctioned at this moment. And yeah, I also like. We need to keep working on it, but at the same time, the time when they come up, we will, like, I feel like the best way to learn is by doing it. So when some conflicts came, then we will. We have to prepare or the best we can, but sometimes until it happens, it's when you start learning, and I agree with one.
Cool. Thanks, guys. So we're going to move on because there's a lot in the agenda today. And now the voting results are coming. So you have like a last 30 seconds to vote while I open token log and refresh. If someone is voting right now, let me know. Nobody? Okay, so we have a clear winner. Number 83, simple total supply held by builders. Gonna refresh one more time.
Woo! Good job.
Lauren is happy.
And take a screenshot of it. And let's see what are the stats. We had 62 unique voters. This is amazing. This is incredible that 62 people voted for this. And a sum of voting power of 163,000. No, 16,000,000. I don't even know how to read this number. It's a big one. Okay, so cool. We have the results. And next steps from here, do you want to speak a little bit about it, Griff?
Yeah, sure. Well, the next steps are we promote it. Sam is actually the best one to talk about it. He's going to deploy the DAO with Paulo, I think, tomorrow morning, right, Sam? Or are you doing it tonight?
We can have it tonight, the test rehearsal.
Yeah.
In order to donate in TDI. I mean, more or less the plan is it was beginning on Tuesday, so we can start today and more or less follow the same plan. It was around 1 week or something of hatch and board and migration.
Yeah. So on Thursday we'll have a demo and we'll show everyone. Everyone has a bunch of TDI in their XDI wallet. So everyone was sent $1 million. $1 million. We sent you all $1 million. $1 million to play with. Congrats. I think Zepton sent it. And yeah, you can buy into the hatch and we can have the experience and we can mint impact hours and we can see how it all plays out.
Yes, exciting. Good job, everyone. Cool. So next step in the agenda today is just quick updates on SourceCred and what are the next steps we need to have with this. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Sam, for the updates. So yeah, Sam and I had a call and he explained me what are the choices we have and how can we move on from here. So we have a more automated choice of, okay, so first is choices between what DAOs are we going to use to manage SourceCred. Apparently it's way better than having a multi-sig wallet because there are more things you can do with a DAO, and it's also safer in a way. So we can have either a very automated option that is Aracred, that Sam doesn't recommend so much because is too much power to the algorithms. And the second option that is Pollen, that it's what OneHive uses, and it requires a little bit of a manual work, but it's interesting because there is the possibility of a subjective step also on how we're looking into SourceCred, and it's a little bit safer if someone is trying to game the system, and there is that human layer to check that everything is happening correctly. So one thing I thought is that the manual version could give us room to distribute praise as well, and that solves the problem we had on understanding how we were going to continue to distribute praise. And if we choose this, it would be like quite a good solution for how we move forward with rewards for contributions, for more subjective contributions and the ones that don't involve a proposal. So I just wanted to have a quick sense making on this. If anyone has objections, especially Mateo and Santi have been involved since the very beginning. If there's any objections that we use something like Pollen, and if there's any problems on integrating impact hour distribution to it.
I don't see any problem. I took a look to the Pollen instance actually yesterday, following the same recommendation, and I love that. I think that it's going to make a great impact on how we do things, and I'm also very excited about the agent service that Aragon is offering, which would allow us to sign transactions on both proposals. So I think that can make it even more decentralized because the decision or the problem that we were seeing was using a multi-sig that the committee was being responsible of. So I think that a DAO in Aragon like this would solve the problem in the most amazing way. So I don't have any opposition on that. I like it. I don't know, Sandy, if you have something to add.
Just to clarify, is this a closed Commons upgrade implementation?
I like actually the pollen solution, the DAO solution. The only it's not an issue, but it's something we have to keep in mind is that since it's a manual voting, sometimes it takes longer. It's not an automatic thing. So people who's waiting for the distribution sometimes get a little anxious, or at least I remember some people getting a little anxious in one hive because things were not being distributed because votes were needed to actually run the distribution. So it's the only thing that we have to keep in mind. It's not going to be automatic after the distribution. It's going to take, sometimes it's going to take minutes, sometimes it's going to take few, maybe not hours, but longer, just because we need people to vote to pass the vote.
And there's some good cultural strategy to overcome, mitigate these issues. Like in the Common Swarm, we just vote and call every, and or like have a gathering and be like, oh yeah, guess what? Agenda topic every time we vote, so that it always there's always people that just vote when we have the decision basically sorted. And Nate asked if it would be Commons upgradable. I would say not really, because this DAO will not hold funds. It'll just be like a governance DAO, so it doesn't have money to throw in a curve work. Right? I guess it does kind of have money to throw in those things, but its job is to distribute those with source. I think it would be funded by.
Yeah, exactly. It would be funded by conviction voting, and then this proposal would be basically to say yes to the distribution. So one proposal would have multiple addresses that are receiving rewards from SourceCred, and then it would just be about approving this proposal to send out the rewards to this address.
We need somebody who will be the
what I would say. Yesterday, and I really like it. So I want to make like a test with disperse, because seemingly you can sign the disperse transaction using frame that will only be enabled after the voting proposal happens. So that's like the coolest thing I could see. Like you said the proposal would be, let's distribute 10,000 DAI to these addresses. And then we go to disperse and we have to sign the transaction using frame, but that signing would only be triggered after the proposal has passed. So that's really amazing. We just have to set a good threshold for the voting, and that would be, yeah, I can take that responsibility, and I hope to next week have something else to show.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks, Mateo. And then, just the two other questions that we have now is who will have voting power in this DAO? We don't need to talk about that now because we still have to talk about Celeste. But if there is anyone that would like to have voting power in this DAO and the SourceCred DAO, I think maybe a way to do it would be like people can volunteer and then we can vote. Proposal.
What's the number of individuals we're looking for? Is it 3, 5, 7, 2?
That's a good question too. Like a number that it
helping with it in one hive. So
nice.
yeah.
Thank you. Cool. I'll add you here to contact you.
Just to make things easy, when you guys are doing the DAO, like, just easy to make a mistake on some of these things.
Yeah.
Voting. So, or yeah, just let's have a chat about the voting parameters.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we can continue to chat about this in the SourceGrid chat and make a proposal and move from here. But that's great that there is like a rough consensus on using pollen, and we'll have to decide a cute name for it. And then we can move forward with next steps. And I'll pass to use sentence Sam just leave. Maybe he's just refreshing for connection. Oh, there you are. Sam, do you want to take us on the Celeste journey?
We were having internet issues. I don't know if you guys hear me well, but
Yeah, we hear you, Zach. Is Sam like right there with you?
he's upstairs, but I might call him.
Okay, cool. Sam. So just for yeah, as an intro for, I don't know if everybody knows about Celeste, but it's
Hello.
are you there?
Yes.
Hey, cool.
Sorry, internet issues.
No problem.
So regarding the previous point, do we have somebody that is going to take the charge of getting all the cred or all the grain and sending it, transforming it into tokens?
Yeah, and that's Mateo.
Great. I also was saying that it could be rewarded in some way, maybe in impact hours or in other ways, because it's kind of, it can be it's something that it's all weeks or every 2 weeks, and it can take some time.
Yeah, for sure. We can chat more about it in the SourceGrid channel.
Also, I want to be clear. I don't think Mateo said yes to that. He said yes on. Sorry. want to save them. It's okay.
Oh, really?
But I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I took that responsibility by default, so don't worry.
Okay.
Mhm.
And regarding Celeste, I think that the most important thing to discuss is regarding the covenant. I already was talking about it with Livy, giving some examples on covenants by different people. For example, we have the covenant of Agave, the covenant of One Hive, and Giveth. And it could be an extension of the mission, vision, and values that it was already written, but into extending it into what is acceptable and what is not acceptable for the people of the community. And it could be, it is something that it's Look, for example, doesn't give a lot of importance to that. For example, the One Hive covenant is quite open, so you just want people to be nice with each other, and you want a very open community, and it's nice. One of the critiques I have to the One Hive covenant is that it doesn't specify that the result of the community should be open source, or in some way we should enforce open source products. And it is something that maybe it's not really needed, but this kind of values and principles could also be integrated into the covenant if we want.
Yeah, before we jump fully into the covenant, I just wanted to give, we still have to decide if we are using Celeste or not as a community. And I just wanted this call to be a little bit more informative on what are the pros and cons that could represent for us to use Celeste, especially when it comes to introducing a token to the community that is honey, and some of the other things we talked about. How would it be important to frame this proposal?
You're right. I thought that we were already in the part of the covenant. But yes, this is a vote that it needs to be done. It was my homework for the weekend, and I don't have it yet. The idea is to create a forum post with this vote, and also explaining what does it imply. If we can discuss it now, I think that it's also very good. The different things that the different implications that it has. The new token, it only needs to be used in case that we really use Celeste, because the collateral that we can most of the time we work with collateral that is defined with TEC. But when the dispute is raised to Celeste, it needs honey. So the new token is only introduced as the fee that we pay to Celeste. Am I still here? Dios, macho. Flipa, ¿eh?
Yeah, I mean, I so the choice is really between two things, right? So we know what Celeste is, but if we want to, so no matter what, we're using disputable voting and disputable. The technocracy. Sorry. It's just, it is the right, that's the active development, and that's where the safest code is to use. So, but who settles disputes is the question. And if we choose to settle disputes, a dispute would be anytime someone makes a proposal. If that proposal, we'll still need a covenant, whether we choose to use Celeste or not, because the whole point of the covenant is not to work with this external court. The point of the covenant is to say, well, what is an okay proposal? It is not okay to say, hey, anyone who votes on this proposal gets to put all the money in. Because you're a sucker if you don't vote on it. And so, but if we have a covenant accepted, then we're really aligned with what we want. But who decides whether or not this proposal subjectively is agreeable with this covenant? It's either we use Celeste, which is an dispute resolution organization, which is cool, or we use maybe Gravity, multi-sig with Gravity. We could use a similar mechanism. It would have to be basically a fork of Celeste smart contract that a multi-sig just owns. Instead of using a decentralized group of jurors, we could use a group of people like this that are trusted in the community to, decide whether or not proposals should be challenges accepted. So I feel like that's really the decision we have to make, is whether or not we want to use external as someone else's token, or if we build a custom solution that would make it all internal. And then of course we'd have to debate what.
Sorry, this is the most disastrous call for me. I am in my mobile now, and I can. It's not going to happen again. But yeah, I think that Griff did a very good explanation.
I think some interesting points to add on, like why would it be cool to use Celeste or why wouldn't. I think it would be cool to use Celeste first because OneHive has been a friend for a long time of our community, and most of all the technical build has been happening in partnership with OneHive. They funded a lot of what we've been using and funded the work of Commons Forum to happen. So I think it's interesting that they have a very dedicated group of developers working on Celeste and working on future developments of it that might not be just the disputable voting or even work it. We would have to be kind of on our own regarding developments on the contract. And then another interesting thing that Sam was telling me about is those jurors would be external to the community, so they wouldn't be directly involved, and they are randomly selected, so they wouldn't be directly involved with all of the things that we have going on, and they would have basically the proposal and this covenant to judge if that proposal is aligned to that covenant. So that would put a lot in proof how we describe our mission, vision, and values. And luckily, we have a good start for that. But we will really have to look into like language and how we use language and how arbitrary, open, or ambiguous that language is. So it is an interesting process that can work really well. And then the cons of it could be something that Ostrom's bring up as a risk of having people that are external to the organization making decisions about the organization. So so this is just something to be mindful of, but we could decide to work very carefully on this covenant and then have that as the ground that we choose to stand on how we portray ourselves to the external world. And that would make us be much more eloquent about our mission, what is also a good point. So there are these things to look into.
And just for FYI, the people who are challenged going to Celeste, they also can provide evidence, so they can submit other documents on top of when they go to on top of the proposal and covenant.
I want to say that I think that Gravity can work in tandem with Celeste, and that it can be like a previous step before like going to the dispute voting. And I think that having that external community like providing that service could be also good, looking for the 8 Ostrom principle of nested enterprises, that we are working together, and at the same time that as one hive can provide us Celeste to TEC, we are talking that the TEC can also provide Gravity to one hive. So it's like this coordination and DAO-to-DAO relationship that we want to build. I think that it's in the right path that we're talking about, and I think it can be a win-win for both communities.
Regarding the Ostrom principles, I don't see that as having well, at the very beginning, I also was concerned with having something that is governing the communities from a centralized point. Don't misunderstand me. If Celeste was able to rule the different communities, it will be like the rule of the ring of Mordor, which is one core to rule them all, in which you have people who is able to block any proposal that passes to any of the gardens or now in any of the commons. But I don't think that this is the case. I think I see this as decentralized legal system in which you don't allow the majority of token holders to break the rules that were given at the beginning of the DAO, which I think that it's pretty good. It's like a legal system that is not. It is maintaining the agreements that the community had. So I don't know if that how it fits in Ostrom principles, but I think that this kind of it should not be something that makes us. It's not a law on top of us. It's the law that we give to ourselves. So this will not have a conflict with the Ostrom principle that has legal implications.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I have one question, and can we like start in one way, and then like if we feel that maybe in some years like we think that it could be good to use or to have like our own tokens for that, can we do that? I mean, because I think that we can start as it is, and see the needs that are presented.
Yes, we can upgrade any part of the DAO with the majority that we decide in the second part of the parameter vote. I mean, there is going to be a commons upgrade parameter vote in which we will decide which is going to be the quorum for the final DAO voting. And the only thing that it could happen is that if we want to change the DAO and it is going to pass, but there is a dispute and somebody says it is not respecting the original agreement, then this DAO of migration will be prevented if that's the case. So this is very there is a case in which it could happen that is very bad, and I can explain. It is called the 51% attack. Imagine that there is a support required of 50%, like in any simple majority thing, in which the vote is if you move the funds to a new DAO, then this new DAO will be the token holders of this DAO will be the one that voted yes. So basically what it makes is, from a perspective of people who just want the number go up, just vote yes, because this is the way in which this is the rational way to go if you only look at the numbers, because if you would know, the majority of the people probably is going to vote yes, and then you will lose all the money that you have in the DAO, because you will be in a DAO that is empty. So at least for preserving your participation in the new DAO, you should vote yes. So in order to prevent this attack, it is where Celeste goes. You can, and responding to the question, yes, in the future we can migrate to a new DAO, but in terms that are good for the community and respecting the minorities of the old DAO. It's a way, not the minorities, but the agreements that we had in the old DAO. Maybe I explained too much and I don't go to the point.
I think that was clear.
Okay.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate the explaining.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions around Celeste? I think it was good, Sam, to wait until we had all of this, conversation.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Yeah, before the proposal, so it's gonna be easier now to shape it. And I'm here if you want help to do it. Maybe you're super busy, and I can try to put something together, and we can go back and forth. Or if you want to put just a draft, I can also help to finalize it.
Okay. I was not so busy, but I was kind of thinking many things during these days, and I could not put my head and hands on it. But I think that after all this discussion, I think that I can write it. And I really think that this is the way to go. The important thing that we have to put well is the covenant. If it's not too reductionist, I mean, If it's something like one hive, then anything is good. Anything can pass if it respects the people. And if we make it things super clear and super, I don't know. The only thing that I see is at the end, Celeste is going to be people who is going to vote according to what they think that the rest are going to vote. This is how it works. They are not going to vote according to what they believe, but according to what they think that the others will vote. So at the end, the clearer discussion is, the better. So if we have a covenant that is similar to one hive, then it is more like, okay, anything can pass except if it's something very bad for, I don't know, people, or it doesn't make because on the covenant of one hive, the mission of one hive is like, we want a better future, a more fair and an open future. So anything that goes against that, then Celeste can rule against that, right?
Yeah, so let's try putting the proposal out this week, and then on the next call we can have a participatory session to put up what are the most important points we need to have. And I think the boundaries and our understanding of boundaries will come in place to talk about that. So I think it's also really interesting for everything we've been discussing during the cultural build. That's going to be like a good wrapping up of how we see the TC and what are the boundaries and rules we have decided so far. So I think
if it's a good covenant, it could also be used as a reference for other gardens. So it's also a very good opportunity to have a good work on that thing, because if it is replicable or it can be generalized to other gardens, it could be very cool.
Yes, sounds amazing. Cool. Thank you so much for all the explanation, and let's continue to work on that. If anyone has questions along the week, just ping us. And last thing, I wanted to shield this this governance workshop we're having tomorrow. Jess, Jeff, Renzo, and I are giving this workshop at Near Protocol and Metagov are having a hackathon on governance. So we're going to be there tomorrow and Thursday if you guys want to join.
What hour is it?
It's in the morning. 10 a.m. to 12 EST.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Livy. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Livia. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Livia.